to share their discoveries. Emily shared how she had deciphered some of the writings and the knowledge she had gleaned from the diary. Liam presented his theories about how the artifacts were connected to the island's magical power. Mark contributed his observations about the symbols they had seen on the ruins and how they might influence the balance between light and darkness. The breakthrough in their investigations fueled their determination to unravel the mysteries of the island. They understood that the deeper they dug, the more they revealed the essence of this place. The diary pointed to vague indications that could lead them to a place where they could perform a ritual. Following hints and symbols, they ventured into the jungle, hoping that this would lead them to answers. After several nights of meeting with Illyria, during which the group established a connection with her and learned about the island's history, they felt a mixture of awe and apprehension. Their understanding of the world had shifted, and they began to realize that Illyria might be linked to the unexplainable events they had experienced. Emily had a strange dream that haunted, and she decided to go alone in search of the place she had seen in her dream, without telling the group. In the morning, the group woke up to find that Emily had disappeared. Her tent was empty, and her tracks led into the forest. Panic gripped the group, and they began their search, calling her name and hoping that she had just gone on a scouting mission nearby. However, the search yielded no results. They combed the woods, circled the shore, but Emily was nowhere to be found. The group sensed that something terrible could have happened, and their hopes of her returning slowly began to fade. As minutes turned into anxious hours, they decided to return to their makeshift camp and discuss their next steps. Panic and despair gripped each one of them, and they realized that their own investigations and contacts with Illyria might have triggered something that took Emily away. The group started analyzing all their knowledge and findings, hoping to find any clue or hint about what could have occurred. Time passed slowly, and each passing hour intensified their fear and unease. The group embarked on an active search for Emily to unravel her disappearance. They ventured deep into the forest, following the landmarks they had found in her diary. Liam led the group, while Natalia held the island map in her hands. Their search led them through dense woods, where branches and vines concealed numerous tracks. The group pondered how they would manage to find Emily amidst this abundance of greenery. Among the other tracks, Natalia noticed something unusual: traces of light footwear, much smaller than those of the group members. As they progressed, Emily's tracks suddenly veered off the trail. Liam stopped and looked puzzled at the map. Natalia reviewed the map again and noticed that it was precisely at this point where the map began to change direction. This indicated that Emily's tracks might lead them to some significant location on the island. Soon, they discovered that Emily's tracks led to a small clearing. On the ground, they saw unfamiliar symbols laid out with stones. The symbols were strange, and their meaning remained unclear. On a torn page of the diary, only a few words were written: "Keep going." The group found themselves at a crossroads. They could turn back, but suspicions and strange events pushed them further into the heart of the island. As the group gathered to discuss their next steps and attempts to decipher the island's mysteries, they were suddenly attacked by wild animals resembling large wolves, but with disproportionately long fangs and a gleam in their eyes. The group was taken by surprise and unprepared for such a confrontation. In panic, they scattered in different directions, trying to protect themselves. Liam received a minor injury, and Sophia lost her backpack containing important notes and items. After regrouping in a safe spot following the attack, the group decided to fortify their camp and prepare for defense against the wild animals. They used their survival skills and knowledge of local fauna to develop a defensive strategy and create primitive traps. Tension grew, and the encounter with the animals showed the group that they were in a territory where even seemingly harmless places could hide unexpected threats. They realized that the island held not only ancient secrets, but also forces that could oppose them. During their search, they began uncovering the secrets of Emily's past. They learned about her connection to ancient rituals and her attempt to contact an entity alone, hoping to learn more about the island's history. In the end, the group finds Emily, but she is in a trance state connected to the entity. They realize that Emily tried to learn more about the island's past and unravel its mysteries, but encountered a strong magical force that took hold of her. The moment of truth arrives, where they must decide how to save Emily and free the entity that threatens to plunge the island into darkness. The group begins working on a ritual that they hope will free Emily. However, their internal fears and doubts start surfacing, creating tension within the team. Gathering around Emily, they initiate the ritual. They all feel the energy filling the air, but at the same time, they start sensing unfamiliar presences that begin interacting with their thoughts. During the ritual, they encounter a stronger manifestation of the entity that tries to disrupt them. They start having visions, which will soon become reality and fill their minds. The visions transport them to the island's past, revealing its dark moments and sources of pain. This brings them closer to the harsh reality that lies in the island's history, impacting the present. An unusual magical reaction begins during the ritual. Crystals light up brightly, and runes start changing and sparkling. The air is filled with sounds resembling the howling wind and tolling bells, as if they have simultaneously traveled to the past and future. The group senses the surrounding force enveloping them, and suddenly they see a whirlwind of images before their eyes. They witness rituals and ceremonies conducted on the island throughout different eras. They see ancient inhabitants, their lives, and their fears. Abruptly, the whirlwind disappears. The visions start losing their clarity and become indirect hints. The company realizes that to complete the ritual, they need to cross the barriers of their own past and make dreadful compromises. At a certain point, a burst of light splits the sky even brighter, overshadowing the sun. The group feels themselves losing the sense of reality. They see images and objects that can't be determined as either real or from the mystical world. Sounds distort, intertwining with magical chants. It's as if the air has been filled not only with sounds, but with emotions intertwining through the rift. They hear whispers and conversations seemingly coming from nowhere. It's both strange and awe-inspiring. After a while, the rift gradually starts fading. The environment returns to normal, but memories of what they saw and felt remain vivid. The group senses their essences slowly returning to the real world, but the understanding of what they experience remains with them. They decided to return to the ancient ruins where their exploration expedition began to carefully study the records and artifacts they found there. Returning to the roots of their research, they discovered long-lost writings and manuscripts that detailed the merge of darkness and light ritual. As the day waned, they gathered in the center of the ruins, where ancient ceremonies once took place. Glowing crystals created a mystical atmosphere, and symbols on the ground formed a special geometric pattern. Following the precise steps of the ritual, they began reciting ancient prayers and symbols, attempting to recreate the connection between worlds. Suddenly, luminous sparks started appearing around them, and the air became charged with energy as if the worlds were merging. And in that moment, as if in response to their prayers, Emily appeared before them. She looked exhausted but alive. They understood that the ritual had worked, that they had brought her back from a world where times intertwined, and where she was captive to magical forces. Following the directions they found in the ancient records, they journeyed to a special place on the island known as the Heart of the Island, a place where they believed the most potent energy was concentrated. There, in the midst of a dense forest, they found an altar adorned with symbols and runes. The symbols resembled those they had seen in their visions, and contacts with Illyria. They performed another ritual there, inviting the entity to manifest before them. Under the influence of the incantation and their own will, the entity began to materialize around them. It was something incomprehensible, a glowing, pulsating energy taking form and shape. In this radiant aura, they felt the presence of Illyria. The group advanced in their investigations, encountering the island's mysteries. They realized that the ancient ritual of merge of darkness and light was not just a historical event, but also a key to potential danger. Their actions could activate forces that had remained dormant for a long time. Delving deeper into the secrets of the ritual, the group found that many details were lost, and this could lead to unpredictable consequences. Their attempt to understand and control the islands forces brought them face to face with the reality that the forces of light and darkness had their own interests and will. Unleashing the dark forces could pose a threat not only to the group but to the entire island. Realizing they were on the brink and that their further actions could tip the balance between light and darkness, they decided to slow down their research and cautiously approach the ancient knowledge and rituals to prevent additional changes and dangers. This led the group to approach their actions and decisions more cautiously. The island and its mysteries were a complex web of interconnected forces and events, and they understood that each of their actions could trigger a chain reaction, not always predictable or controllable. In the final stage of the ritual, the group must make a difficult decision to halt the dark forces they've unleashed and save Emily. Their unity and determination put not only their own lives, but also the island's future at stake. The group realizes that the dark forces they've invoked are beginning to ravage the island and threaten their lives. Their resolve to confront this menace grows even stronger, and they are prepared to face anything to save the island. After realizing they are not alone on the island and witnessing strange occurrences, they decide to pool their efforts and devise a plan of action. They understand that only by combining their knowledge and skills can they confront this enigmatic threat and survive on this mysterious island. Their first step is getting acquainted with each member of the group. Long conversations follow where they share their pasts, skills, and experiences. This helps them understand the resources they possess and how they can complement each other. Then they decide to split into smaller groups and venture in different directions to gather information about the terrain, resources, wildlife, and potential dangers. Armed with maps, compasses, and primitive tools for exploration, they set out. As groups return, they exchange information. They stumble upon ancient ruins that shed light on past island inhabitants and their rituals. They find unique plants that might have medicinal properties. They also discover water sources and establish a temporary camp in a secure spot. Each member contributes their skills to the collective effort. Liam, the seasoned traveler, assists with orientation and navigation. Emily, the biologist, studies the local fauna and flora. Sophia, the archaeologist, analyzes ancient remains and ruins. Michael, the medic, ensures the group's safety and health. They devise a safety plan, define alarm signals, and take turns on night watch duty. Together, they gather survival materials, dry branches, rocks, herbs. They build a campfire and set up a makeshift shelter. The consolidation of their strengths and the unity of their efforts enable the group to feel they have a fighting chance to survive and uncover the island's mysteries. They realize that only by working together and leveraging their individual skills can they find answers to the questions the island poses before them. They begin preparing for the showdown with the dark forces, conducting rituals and strengthening their skills, understanding that victory requires not just physical strength, but also willpower and determination. Following the entity's guidance, they enter a mystical realm where the battle between light and darkness unfolds. The world seems distorted and menacing, and they realize they must remain on the side of light. The dark forces take on a form of formidable and intimidating stature. Before them, The group witnesses a creature possessing terrible magical power, attempting to break their resolve. The full moon rises over the island, casting its bright rays onto the beach. The group stands around a lit bonfire, sharing accumulated knowledge and research. Suddenly, the wind shifts, and the atmosphere pulsates with undulating vibrations. Liam notices faint tracks forming in the sand, encircling the camp. Hearts race within the group, attention focused on their surroundings. Then, from the dark depths of the forest, shadows start advancing toward them. The silhouettes gradually take shape, and figures appear before them, non-human and menacing. These were beings leaving no noticeable footprints on the sand, their eyes gleaming with a cold green light. As the confrontation nears, the group readies weapons and sets traps, but it seems impossible to contain these entities. The moon illuminates their struggle, the sand bearing witness to the clash of two worlds. The creatures' gleaming eyes dart swiftly, their ethereal forms evading blows. In this harrowing battle, they realize they face something far beyond their comprehension. They employ every skill and technique, offering resistance, yet the entities are swift and adept at manipulating their form. The company feels the dark energy consuming them, as if the forces of darkness are infiltrating their bodies. Each strike, each breath becomes more difficult, their strength dwindling. But they don't give up. Their determination and will to survive are stronger than their fear of the unknown. The struggle persists, cries and the sound of impacts echoing through their fight. The air is charged with energy, the darkness of the forest absorbing all that's alive around it. The group understands they're facing adversaries whose motives and nature remain shrouded in mystery. But they persist, fighting for their lives and for the answers the island holds deep within its depths. The dark creatures turn their own fears and nightmares against them, trying to shatter their resolve and weaken their strength. The collective must battle their inner demons to maintain control. After realizing that their individual strengths are not enough for victory, they combine their magical abilities and create a protective shield to hold themselves together and resist the dark forces. During the battle, secrets related to the dark entity begin to unravel. It turns out that it wasn't always malevolent and destructive, containing remnants of the ancient inhabitants of the island. Over time, the group becomes aware that they are not alone on the island. Nighttime sounds, strange shadows, and mysterious events cast doubt on their safety. However, a special night arrives when something extraordinary happens. As usual, they gather around the bonfire, discussing their next steps. But this conversation is interrupted as the night sky begins to illuminate with an unusual light. At first, it's just faint flickering, but then the light grows brighter and more intense. The light immerses them in a magical atmosphere, as if they've entered a different reality. The sand starts swirling around them. Sensing something happening to their consciousness, they begin to see strange images and visions, fragments of the past and future. Through this portal of light, they make contact with the essence of the island Illyria. It begins transmitting its thoughts and memories to them. In this interaction, the group feels an unusual connection with the island's history, as if they've become part of its existence. All the while, they stood surrounded by light and shadow, sensing a merging between worlds. With each conveyed thought, each memory, the mask of the island's mystery starts to weaken. The group begins to understand how events of the past influence the present, and how the dormant forces on the island can impact the future. As the light begins to fade and the images and memories dissolve, the group remains by the bonfire, realizing that they've just received a piece of the island's enigmatic history. The mask of mystery has loosened, and now before them stands an even greater enigma. What will happen next? And how will they uncover the secrets hidden within the depths of this magical place? With strengthened internal unity, They identify a vulnerable spot within the dark entity and begin to attack it. Their hope for victory grows, and they continue to fight, drawing strength from their determination. During the battle, the dark entity begins to reveal its history and past even more strongly. They learn about the events that led to its captivity and how it became the source of darkness on the island. The long path of exploration and struggle brought the group to this moment, the moment of the true confrontation with the dark force that had shrouded the island in mystery and threat for so long. The clash with darkness was inevitable, and the group was ready to give everything to defeat this threat and restore balance to the island. The darkness enveloped the forest, and the cold wind carried its ominous presence. The group gathered at the center of the camp, around their usual spot, the lit bonfire. Their eyes were filled with determination, their hearts beating stronger than ever. Suddenly, the darkness began to dissipate once again, like smoke, and the forest around them started to light up. Light was returning to the island, and the darkness was retreating. Victory over the darkness was an achievement that strengthened their bond and resolve. They realized that the island carried both light and darkness within it, and that the balance between these forces was in their hands. Their exploration and struggle for balance became not only a salvation for the island, but also a key to unraveling its mysteries and history. The group realizes that while they have defeated the dark forces, the island still remains a mysterious place. They decide to conduct a final search to uncover the remaining secrets, setting out to explore the island armed with flashlights and a map that marked the places they still needed to investigate. Emily and Mark, holding hands, decide to search the old ruins. They walk through dark passages, illuminating the ancient walls with their flashlights. Suddenly, something rustles under Emily's feet. She lowers her flashlight and peers closely. Before her stretches a trail, a fresh track of an unfamiliar animal's paw. Sophia and David head into the dense forest. Dry leaves crunch under their feet as they silently make their way between the trees. Suddenly, from behind the trees, they notice a glimmer in the darkness. Approaching, they discover a small hidden pit in which lies an artifact, an ancient amulet with mysterious symbols. A brave pair of explorers, Liam and Nora, decide to descend to the shore. They hear a strange sound resembling singing. Under their flashlights, they spot an unusual underwater cave. Entering inside, they find walls adorned with unfamiliar symbols, realizing that this place holds special significance. Meanwhile, Jake and Anna walk to the lake and unexpectedly discover an old altar on its shore. On it, scattered broken stones with carved symbols. Jake lifts one of the stones and notices that on the reverse side, there's an inscription in an ancient language. The group gathers together to exchange findings and impressions. The discovered tracks and artifacts indicated that the island was not just a mysterious place, but also a sacred site connected to magic and ancient rituals. The group deciphers hidden messages and riddles they discover in temples and ruins. These enigmas point them to the locations where important artifacts are hidden. During their search, they come across ancient records and relics that tell them about the island's past inhabitants. They begin to understand the events that led to the creation of mystical forces on the island. The group uncovers symbols that are connected to their own destinies. They begin to suspect that their arrival on the island was not coincidental at all, and that fate has brought them together to these places. The evening they gathered around the bonfire was special. The moon shone brighter than usual, and the stars seemed closer. Emily began performing a ritual, summoning the spirits and forces of the island. The group closed their eyes and focused, trying to sense the connection between the past and the present. In this meditative state, they started seeing images and memories intertwining with each other. They witnessed ancient island inhabitants conducting the fusion of darkness and light ritual, and felt the energy that linked their events to the present. This interweaving of threads gave them a sense of wholeness and filled them with determination. With each passing moment, they unraveled more pieces of this intricate puzzle that became a symbol of their own journey. After a long time of exploring the island, uncovering its secrets, and contending with enigmatic forces, the group overcame numerous obstacles and fears. But all their efforts led to this moment, the moment of the final revelation. They gathered at the ancient ruins that had become the center of their research. These ruins held the key to the island's past, to the sources of its history, both ancient and present.